Good day to you, Nicole. How are you doing?
Hello, good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I guess the number of COVID cases in Hong Kong is decreasing, so that's always something to cheer for, and I hope it continues that way.
Yes, yes.
So today, as part of the series of courageous conversations, I am in conversation with Nicole Denholder. Nicole has gone through a fair amount of career transitions, and I'll allow her to take us through what are those career transitions. So Nicole, thank you for taking the time, and over to you. If you could start off by sharing with us what key career transitions have you been through?
Sure. No, and thank you for having me. I think it's really important to talk on this topic because, I went through a corporate transition within and also an entrepreneurship transition. And to me, the most important thing is it's not like I didn't like corporate or I love entrepreneurship. It's about different opportunities at different stages. And it's recognizing that. So it's not necessarily always black or white. So I think that's really important. But in terms of my own career changes, I was at PricewaterhouseCoopers for a long time. And I enjoyed working there. And I was in their global capital markets group where we did support to organize companies that were looking to do a US IPO or transform their financial reporting according to like international accounting standards. So it was a great job. I had a lot of opportunity to travel, but one of what I did do is I transferred there or transitioned after, I'm going to say 10 years into the consulting side. So I worked at London and Hong Kong with them. And then the other transition I've done is leaving PwC, not working for a few years, and then the transition to entrepreneurship by starting my own business.
Right. And what were and I know you mentioned that, it's not that corporate life is bad and therefore get out, or entrepreneurship is good so get in. It really depends on which stage you are, what choices you make in life. What were some of those drivers behind those transitions that you made?
No, it's a good question. So with PwC, the capital, at that time, we I'd had a really good experience working in the capital markets area, but there were changes happening externally to PwC for that service offering. And so there was still work there, but there was a really nice timing for me to make a transition within PwC to a different area, which was the consulting side, which is very different. And part of that was to, transfer and develop my skills within PwC. Rather than going to a new company, knew everything, I was still staying within a structure I knew. There was still kind of people I knew. It was actually a really nice way to change, because it's a very much different business line. So it's a substantial change. But that was one of the key reasons is the market was changing. I did want to change in terms of my own skills and to develop some further skills and apply them differently. Right. Leaving PwC and kind of starting my own business were kind of a couple of factors. The two main ones were I had children and I had traveled extensively with PwC, as in week in, week out for over a decade. And I just couldn't kind of look at how I wanted to deal with everything going forward. And so part of the reason was that I enjoy working, enjoy my children, but what I was looking for was a much more, building something that was more flexible. I really put a lot of thought into that around what I wanted my future life to look like, and flexibility was key. Something digital was key. So that gave me additional flexibility. And then also I was interested in trying my hand at entrepreneurship, as I think many of us at some point are interested in doing, and building a business around something I was quite passionate about.
Right. And from there, what leads on is for me, moving on from, you made a change within your corporate life, PwC, Department X to Department Y, right? And consulting was a very different side of business. Yep. And yet you mentioned that at least I knew PwC to some extent. I knew people. So all of those were some kind of supporters or enablers, right?
Yes.
Now, when you moved from the corporate world into entrepreneurship and setting your own company, what were some of the challenges that you faced?
So what I would say in terms of, you know, firstly at PwC, I would say one of the challenges I had there was the way we interacted with clients was different, and the way we did sales and pitching and that. And so actually I learned a lot more. There was a bit of a steep learning curve in terms of how we interacted with clients, because the way we originated our business was quite different. And that was actually a very nice thing to learn. I think the big thing with my own business was I've launched Next Chapter Raise, and we're all around, my goal was all around supporting women on female founders on accessing funding. And that's kind of what I'm passionate about, is that I think funding is critical to, growth, business growth. But because I've started a business, but also my goal here was to re-educate myself and to kind of look at a new kind of career path around that passion, which I think, so it's a two-pronged approach, right? And I think one of the difficulties is really being able to get comfortable with the fact that as you get more experienced in this new space, you can better value your time. And so both in terms of me personally valuing what I allocate that to, but also charging for that time. Because you've changed, and I had made quite a big change out of that corporate space, entrepreneurship, particularly the whole entrepreneurship kind of funding side was quite new to me. And so it was it's been a learning curve and a challenge to work out, when am I an expert enough? What do I know enough to start being able to charge for that time, or feel that my expertise or just my mentoring is valuable? And I think that has been quite difficult, and I think I've gotten there, which has been great. And it just builds, we use the word confidence. It's a mix of confidence, but it is it's also the value of money and time, and clearly understand that was one of the key challenges, I would say.
Okay. And was that, if I may, part of that coming also from probably your own characteristic or trait of, I need to get to a certain level before I feel that I can charge so much.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, feeling I'm not good enough to charge that much.
Yeah.
Your inner critique working on you quite a bit, which I know I had when I transitioned.
Yeah.
So was it a combination of that, you would say?
Yes. And yes. Yeah. I do think that, you always question yourself a little bit, right? In terms of your own capabilities. And there's actually a lot of statistics out there that talk about women and confidence and that sense of I must be 100% perfect before I apply for that job, or, or think that I'm capable of. I think certainly the value concept and for me was a very different one, because at PwC, you certainly in a corporate space, you're either already as allocations by grade and by levels within that. And the pricing is all done very differently and very much where you're the one setting all the pricing, and you're having to assess the market, and you're having to work out, you're having to really analyze. And, you talk to entrepreneurs all the time, and pricing is such a big challenge, because you don't want to go too high, you don't want to go too low, and also I would say I'm quite a giving person, so I'm happy to give as well. So, but also I would say that doing, launching business for me has been like doing an MBA as well. I feel like I've done it differently in terms of the network and the learning I've done and the connections I've made there. It's been fantastic. It's been a real pleasure.
Excellent. And what were some of your enablers? And what I mean by enablers is both your own internal resources, as well as external resources in terms of a tribe or some kind of support group, or your family, or whatever. It could differ from person to person. But what are some of these enablers that you think helped you out in undergoing this transition?
I have to say, I've always been very fortunate to, both in corporate and personal life, be exposed to amazing people. I have positive people that are supportive. I am very grateful for that, because either through mentoring or bosses or whatever you want to call it. It's certainly, I have been exceptionally fortunate. I have to say PwC was fantastic. Within the internal transitions within the business, they were fantastic in supporting what I wanted to do, helping make that work in a number of different ways that was very brilliant. So I have to say, I thought PwC was great. And I always feel blessed for my time there. In terms of the business, I have to say, first and foremost is my husband, because obviously there's a financial commitment towards running a business you have to take. Also, I've given up an income in addition to spending money. So you're a double whammy. I think everyone thinks about you're investing in a business, but actually what's your opportunity cost you also have to think about.
Absolutely.
And so there's a double whammy there. So if you are in a relationship, that's obviously, something that has to be discussed, because there's that financial cost that comes with running a business. There's also the emotional cost with running a business because of the, you see those entrepreneurial little graphics or whatever, where it's literally every day is up, down, up, down, up, down, depending on the day, whatever. And so I would say also, going along with the fact that that emotional support is really important. And so I think that, family, and Hong Kong's great. We have helpers here. And I mean, people, Hong Kong is fantastic, and having the support of helpers, I always say I'm very thankful for, because they form a network here that many women, for them it's invaluable. Actually, for the family it's invaluable. It's not just the working mother, it's the family, right? So and then, I mean, from a female founder perspective, actually through what I've done, I've met awesome female founders who have consistently said to me, how can I help you? I love what you're doing. And the connections I've made, I've been so fortunate. And I've been in Hong Kong over 15 years and of Hong Kong, and I've lived those different lives of corporate, traveling extensively, of being a mum, not working, of running my own business. And in each life, you start forming new relationships and that. So that has been awesome. And I have to say, I think internally, I'm not sure if you mean from my own perspective, but I think it comes down to just determination. You have to,
absolutely.
You just, I'm passionate about what I'm doing. So I think passion is very important from an entrepreneurship perspective. One of the key reasons for that is you need to get up every day and execute. And so determination is something that I probably have on this. And I'm determined to achieve some goals that I've set for myself. And I will keep going. I won't stop. So,
and that's very evident in the way you're expressing and the way you're sort of mentioning this. And I guess for you the determination also comes from the why, which is that you're very passionate about what you do, and that's, I guess, gives you that motivation, which then sets the determination, because you're so your why is defined by that whole passion for that for this area.
Absolutely. And I think the one thing that I've learned through all of these processes is that if you don't close one door, another door can't open. You need to create space and let go of something for a new opportunity to arise, or for you to be able to take that on. I mean, we constantly hear these concepts of, well, the more times, I think even there's some stories around Warren Buffett around this, but you have to say no a lot. More than we do to say yes to the things we want. But for me, that simply is that, and it's up to you to open those doors as well, right? You have to close one to open one as well. It's all about us making that happen. But it's, we can only do so much. And so sometimes something has to stop to enable something else. So.
Very well said. And I think especially when we are at our initial stage of setting up our own business, even if we have been very clear in the corporate world to say no to many things, I know for me, it got very challenging to be able to say no in my initial stages, because I was like, if I say no to this, maybe I'll lose a big opportunity. And it was always about the opportunity cost and what I could miss out. And I'll be honest, there was also fear of missing out.
Yes.
Which is quite high in those days. Not anymore, luckily, but those days definitely was. So given all this, what is one key message that you would like to give to both women and men who probably want to transition and shy away many a time because for whatever reason, maybe they think they're not capable, maybe they feel I don't have many choices, and there are many other reasons why people don't undertake transition. So what would be one of your key messages to them?
My fundamental always is just do it.
Right.
Because time passes and suddenly it'll be a year, 2, 3, 5 years, and you look back and you could be X. But particularly for moving into entrepreneurship, I'm a big believer in just do it. But, you know, obviously we all need to be realistic. If there are, you know, financial considerations and all that, try and do it, but maybe you do it in a different way. Maybe it's not all in. Maybe it's exploring it differently. Maybe it's putting your feet in the water in that whole space. And maybe you don't feel you have anything to add or say, but maybe it's networking to learn more about that space so that when you make that decision, you're quite well informed. So depends where you sit on that risk factor. You know, if you are a bit more risk averse and nervous, I would say don't worry about thinking I'm not in the space or I don't do that, or just, you know, go and chat to people. People are very kind actually when you, and you also ask them questions. It's not always about you. I think that's what we must always remember. And that's a key thing around networking. Networking is that one-to-one connection where you engage with the person you're talking to. It's not about 1,000 business cards in one evening.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So, so I think that's really important. I think, yeah, just, you know, try and do it, just do it. You know, I think it's easy to overthink things. So, you know, just jump in.
Well, thank you very much, Nicole. So please remember, just do it, go with your passion. And that is Nicole's key message. Thank you very much for having this conversation with us, Nicole.
Thank you very much. And thank you for, you know, giving many of us the opportunity to share our stories.
You're welcome.